Detroit Lions fanatics, what is up? It's your boy Will back with another episode of Detroit Den 313, talking that Detroit Lions content. So if you love Detroit Lions content, man, you're in the right spot. So getting right into it, I got a grievance that I want to talk about tonight, man. And um it's basically it's just really going at all of us content creators that talk about the Detroit Lions or just NFL teams in general, man. I'm just starting to get a little bit frustrated about how we go about delivering the information that we deliver in a sense of just how we talk about things like who's winning jobs or who's in the lead on things or what's going on in certain situations. It's just getting to a point to where it's getting a little bit frustrating for me. Um, I've taken a little bit of time to watch some of the other guys' stuff, which typically I don't normally do, but I haven't got an opportunity to be at training camp thus far. So I've been trying to just dig around and see kind of what's been going on out there. And a lot of people um they just put out bad information to me, right? To me. So just a little background on me so you guys know and you understand where I'm coming from. I've coached for a couple of decades. I played college football, and I feel like I look at this thing a little bit differently than a lot of the creators who have different backgrounds. Now, I'm not here to say that you have to have played high level football or been around the game at a high level to be able to analyze it or give your opinion on it. I don't feel like that at all. But sometimes it just gets frustrated when we give matter of fact answers of thought processes when we don't. Sometimes you can just ultimately tell that there's not really a true blue understanding of what's going on. So just getting to into some of this training camp thing before I get into the meat and potatoes of what I'm talking about today. So that's going to be on the back end. So hang around for that. I'm going to talk about, to me, the most underrated player on the Detroit Lions roster to me. But before I get into that, it's frustrating to me that we talk about going through training camp, going through drills, going through scrimmages, going through situational stuff, and we talk about predicated on success of a player in those instances. They're winning a job or they're in the lead or they're doing they're the next one on a depth chart or whatever. Guys, some of this stuff is predicated on us coaches knowing who's got the upper hand, or especially veteran guys who have been inside of these drills understand how to win certain matchups. Now, is there situations that, yeah, there is a little bit of truth to some of the things that go on in said drills? Yeah, maybe, but ultimately you're looking for consistency. You're looking for days, weeks, months of work, right? Off-season training program, then going into the training camp and seeing day after day after day guys be continuing to be successful and continuing to show that they can do things for an extended period of time. Like I always talk about that body of work, right? So somebody having a good day or a good week doesn't mean they're winning a job or they're taking a lead on a job or any of the above, right? Plus, you never know what guys are dealing with. You got some guys who just aren't practice guys, right? If you're a veteran, you're not out there to kill yourself at practice. A lot of these guys. So, not to say that they're not practicing hard, but there is a level of, hey, I need to make sure that I'm ready on Sunday. So maybe I'm working certain things, or maybe I'm working a new tool that I've added to the toolbox. Somebody like Broderick Martin, for instance, maybe I'm not just using my brute strength to try to win a rep. Maybe I'm now working on my pad level, leverage, hand placement, etc. Right. So that's what practice is for. To practice things that ultimately you think are going to make you successful on the football field come, when the season starts, and of course on the back end of this season come January and February, right? So um guys, we got to getting so caught up in who won reps at practice through training camp in one day. Now, if you tell me week after week, just kind of thinking into Brian Branch and Sam Laporta from last season, these guys started off training camp hot, but week after week you kept hearing their names and hearing how great they were doing and hearing what was going on. Then we can start deeming some of these guys as guys that are going to be problems, guys that are probably going to have some potential success. So we can report and talk about who had a good day, but let's not give anybody any jobs or any flowers that they haven't yet earned, haven't played any football games, and haven't showed a body of work that shows success. So that's my grievance. That's my soapbox, talking about training camp and practices and how guys look. That's it. That's it. Now, getting into the meat and potatoes of this thing, the real reason why I got hopped on here tonight is something that I'm super excited about, and that is none other than my favorite Detroit Lion, Brian Branch. I feel like Brian Branch is the most underrated player on the Detroit Lions roster. It's now come out for sure that Brian Branch is going to be stepping into that safety role. He's going to be competing with Kirby Joseph and Ife Melifonwu. And I think this is just an opinion based thing. This isn't a football based things based on things that I've seen from this season. Now it is based on things that I've seen from him at Alabama and him last season. I think this safety position, or one of them, is Brian Branch's job, hands down. And I think we're going to look at him as one of the best safeties in the league here by the end of this season. Brian Branch is just so versatile. And I think that he's truly special. When we talk about steals, he was truly a steal. And I don't know how he slipped to the Detroit Lions, but thank you, Lord. I still remember that draft. Me and Steve were talking, and I looked at Steve and I told him, I need to leave this draft with either Devon Witherspoon or Brian Branch, period. I need one or the other. And the good Lord blessed us. Thank you so much again. Now, when I talk about Brian Branch and when I think about Brian Branch, the thing that excites me the most is the steps that he's taken forward. And I know that you guys are probably questioning, like, man, he hasn't even been on the field. He was in a boot. It was this. How are you saying that he's taking steps forward? Guys, sometimes when you're a football person, you have an understanding or ability to read in between the lines, right? So Brian Branch just did an interview here recently for the Detroit Lions, and he talks about so many things. If you really break down this interview and really look at it, he gives you so many little nuggets that speak to why he's about to have a monstrous season. I feel like that word gets talked around. A guy's going to have a huge year. A guy's going to have a huge season. A guy's going to do this or that, right? I tell you guys all the time, I don't throw that word huge around, special, or any of those words. When I say it, I mean them. Brian Branch, if he's healthy, knock on wood, is about to have a huge season. And here's why I believe it. Brian Branch is in a position to where he feels comfortable. If you talk about Brian Branch last year, and he even spoke to it in an interview, he was a silent guy. You didn't hear him talk much. He just came to work and got about his business. This year, he's starting to step out of his shell. He's starting to be more vocal. He's starting to be more charismatic, show more personality. And even in that interview, if you look at an interview from last year to this year, that young man was just showing the type of personality that could be a league marketing type of personality. He was smiling, he was joking, but even more, what even stood out to me more is he was yes, sir, and no, ma'am. We're talking about a gentleman, a quiet killer, a guy that is going to shake your hand, look you in the eyes, and say yes, sir, and no, ma'am. But he's going to flip that switch when he gets on the football field, and he's going to be an assassin, right? I think that there's a special level that Brian Branch has to his game. And when you start adding charisma, when you start adding a guy who's going to change the momentum and bring electricity to this football team, I think that that's going to be ultimately something that is, you can't even really put a value on that, right? Because that's going to be a game changer, right? That's going to be a game changer. And the reason why I think that we're seeing this change in Brian Branch is because of how comfortable he is. He has guys that he knows around him. He's got Terry on, knows him well, Terry Arnold, right? He's got Jahmyr Gibbs, knows him well. He's got J-Mo, knows him well. He's got that Alabama bunch of guys that he knows so well that he has already had a bond even before they got to the Detroit Lions. So I'd imagine that's bringing just a certain level of comfort to a situation. And then following his interview, Kirby Joseph got on there and started referring to Brian Branch as his brother. He said, that's my brother, man. That's a guy who I clicked with immediately. So there's also a level of these guys are gelling. They are, just a group that is, just feeling the camaraderie. They're feeling a sense of family. And when you add that to a team, I think the sky is the limit. The sky is the limit. So Brian Branch is a guy that I feel like isn't getting enough pub. I know I hear people saying, "Oh man, Brian Branch is a dog," yada yada yada, whatever. But people aren't truly talking about the true ability to me that I feel like Brian Branch. Brian Branch is the type of guy who could be one of the faces of the league, right? Period. Like if he brings his personality out, right? He aligns it with his football play, right? The guy he's a good looking dude, right? I think that he's the type of guy who can kind of be another guy to put the Detroit Lions on the map as a America's team type of guy. When you start talking about Aiden Hutchinson and Brian Branch and Terry and Arnold and Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jahmyr Gibbs and Sam Laporta, like this is a team that I'm seeing start to take a place where we're gonna be not only a great football team, but it's gonna be a great show. Like I think of University of Michigan when they had Ric Flair coming into town and all of the Jordan gear and all of this extra stuff that kind of turned it into a show. Same thing with the Detroit Lions. Hulk Hogan is coming into town. We got all of these different things happening. Eminem, being a part of everything that we're doing in Detroit. This is a special time to be a Detroit Lions fan. And this is a special time for Brian Branch. I think that if you watch close, you're going to watch a star born here in Detroit. So please put it in the comments. Let me know. Do you think that Brian Branch is a star that's about to be just coming out of the fold, out of the darkness this year? Do you believe that he is the most underrated player on the Detroit Lions? Or do you feel like it's another guy? If you feel like it's another guy, put it in the comments who you think it is, and I'll be back with another episode. Peace.